All right, it is that time once again for another
kaleidoscopic episode of V8 Radio.
Kaleidoscopic.
That's right.
Very nice. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm your host, Kevin Oeste, joined as always by our esteemed co-host, Mr. Mike Cuball Clarke.
Hey, I have to give full credit to my wife for that word. I was talking to her today and I said, I need an overselling adjective. And she's looking through her phone. How about give me a letter? I'm like, K. Kaleidoscopic. I'm like, done.
Kaleidoscopic.
That works.
And that's not what happens when you smash a couple of microscopes into each other. You know, you collide the scopics. This is going to be colors and some kind of mental trip. I can't really promise what's going to happen, but
that's right, man. Theater of the mind, bro.
At least we got a word. So that was very nice. Yeah, right on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Well, typically here on V8 Radio, it's a car show or whatever, and we tend to start these off with an automotive trivia question. Which is riveting, I'll tell you right now. And,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we pose these in the beginning, and then our listeners are free to hang throughout the whole show, on the edge of their seats waiting for the answer.
Totally.
Right, yeah. So
they can't work on their cars, they can't do anything until that answer comes.
No, there's kind of a paralysis, I think, that overcomes them. Or maybe that's just us.
It's the kaleidoscopic effect.
Yes, the kaleidoscopic induced mental paralysis that we suffer from here at V8 Radio. So, did you prepare a trivia question there, my friend?
Absolutely, sir, I did. Let's kick it off. All right. I know in a few episodes ago we talked about, I think I had a trivia question regarding you did, regarding the Chrysler 300 Hearst car, the 70 Chrysler 300.
Yeah.
I think that was a convertible, right? But, the 300 series were famous for having the leather designator after the 300. And what was the first year that Chrysler did not use that leather designator on the 300?
That's a good one. Boy, that's a good piece of minutia right there.
Yeah.
That is trivial.
Yeah. Well, it's a trivia question.
Could it be a trick question, though, is the big question? Because wasn't the very first 300 just a 300?
I don't know. Was it?
In, what was that, 55?
Mm-hmm.
And then they started the letter designation after that. So I think that could be it. So I'm going to say the 55 Chrysler 300 was just a 300 with no letter.
55, Kevin says.
Yeah. And this is just about the farthest thing possible from my mind right now. So if I'm wrong, I'll own it.
Okay. 1955, because it was just a 300.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Just a 300. Okay.
All right. At this juncture.
That is in the books.
Right on. All right, well, I'll throw one right back at you then.
All right, let's do it, bro.
So, as you're aware, the Pontiac Motor Division is...
Don't you do it to me.
Unfortunately no longer with us.
That's correct.
The esteemed vehicles of the Pontiac brand have not been produced for some time. So my question to you is, when did the last U.S. sale-bound Pontiac roll off the assembly line? Because
now, when you say when, how deep down do I need to go?
Well, when?
Well,
not like to the minute.
Like year, month, week.
Okay, I will tell you, if you can do year and month, that'd be sweet. And then if you knew what the car was.
Well, Pontiac, the last model to be sold by Pontiac was a 2009. So I'll say the year was 2009. The month, January, and the car was a Solstice.
January 2009 with a Solstice.
Yeah. Nice triple decker on that one.
I could go one further. What color?
Oh. Let's move along. Nothing to see here.
All right. Well, the reason why I clarified that a little bit is because apparently there was a Pontiac branded product that was sold outside of the U.S. that lingered longer production-wise. They continued to produce them after the U.S. version was done. So that's
interesting.
That's why I clarified that a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for that.
All right, that's your final answer. January 2009, and it was a Solstice. And we're not making a guess on color.
No. No, we're not.
All right. Well, I mean, I think by the end of the line there, I guess there was still some Pontiacs that people got excited about.
Yeah. You had the G8.
Yeah.
That was a great car.
Yeah, it was.
And even the Solstice was a great car with its rear drive, handled like a go-kart. I wouldn't buy one, but if you gave it to me,
you'd keep it.
I would keep it.
How about that? Well, interestingly enough, I just heard the other day that our mutual friend, Mr. Chris Rahn, who owns the Stubborn German Brewing Company here in the town that I live in Waterloo, Illinois, is another former Fiero owner.
Is that right?
Yes, and a proud one at that. So,
well, right on.
Kind of a nod.
Well done, fellas.
Yeah, a nod to our previous episode where our topic was cars that you would keep if somebody gave you, and that was Solstice was high on your list. So.
Yeah, it was right behind the Fiero.
Yeah. I saw a pretty neat G8 yesterday, as a matter of fact.
Did you?
Yeah, a red one, clean, beautiful car.
Nice.
They were cool. You ever drive one?
I have not driven one. Sad to say.
Yeah, they feel very much like what they were going after, which was the V8 5 Series BMWs.
Is that right?
Yeah,
makes sense.
Feel very much. I mean, interior stiffness and the handling, and I mean they've got a lot more torque than that 4.4 BMW V8, but they're faster, but they felt good.
Yeah, and they can still be had for a decent price too. Even the GHGTs, you can still find plenty of them out there for sale. Yeah. So if that's something that you're looking for, folks, it's there.
Somebody gives you one, don't sell it.
Yeah, see, I'd buy that.
That's a car you'd buy, huh?
I'd buy a GHGT, absolutely.
Yeah. I was actually looking at those, and so was Trevor in our V8 Speed And Resto shop. And I think he landed on the CTS-V instead of the G8 at that point.
I gotcha. Well, that's cool.
Yes.
Before we get too deep into to our episode, I wanted to give a shout out to this young man I work with at Impact Networking. He started out as a truck driver with the company. He's a young kid, good car guy, all around, good guy. When the company expanded out to California, he went out there driving the truck, and he ended up coming back recently, and he joined the sales team. And, really trying to make something better out of himself, and he made his first sale. So I wanted to say congratulations, Schmitty. It was well done. He's a good kid, and he's going to do great things for us. So,
very good.
Well done, buddy.
Well, congratulations there, Schmitty. He's also a listener?
He is a listener, a subscribed listener.
Ooh, fantastic.
Yeah. His real name is Mike Schmidt. I just wanted to get that out there. Good kid, real good guy. So.
Well, we appreciate that. He's a subscriber, and it's good to hear young guys climbing the ladder.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I really like him. He's always I hit it off with him as soon as he started the company. He has a real good personality, easy to get along with. He's going to do real well. So
does he have any cool cars of his own yet?
He does not yet. not yet. So he's getting his feet under him, and when he makes his first million, then he'll get something.
He's just a few sales away from a G8 or a Solstice or a Fiero.
That's right. That's right. You hear that, Schmitty?
Yeah, there you go. Well, speaking of listeners who are also Pontiac fans, matter of fact, I'm going to throw a shout out too to our friend Mo Zerlini. Mo is a customer of ours who we currently have his 70 GTO back in the shop. It's gold.
Ooh, that
with
gold
a
one.
Ram Air 3 car. It came to us the first time a couple of years ago where it had a few issues. The AC wasn't really blowing cold, and he wanted to do a serpentine drive setup, and it had some leaks in the engine. So we yanked the motor out and regasketed it and did some engine detail work. Put a March black hard coat serpentine system on it, and worked that in with the original GM Harrison AC box on the firewall, so it wasn't a retrofit completely.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but you can do that if you know what you're doing. So the factory stuff's all still there. It's factory air car, and tuned it up and fixed a few things. And he's been in and out of the shop here and there with little maintenance things. But today the car's in the shop getting a Tremec TKO 5-speed from
Mo.
Yeah, from our friends at Modern Driveline, and it's gonna turn that car around. I mean, it's gonna be so much more fun than the automatic.
Oh yeah,
to drive. And Mo is a veteran. He does he's very active in veterans groups.
Nice.
Just a solid guy. Vietnam vet era. Always spending time with other vets and helping them out with stuff. And he informed me the other day that he is also a listener to our V8 Radio podcast.
Right on, Mo. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Much respect, sir. Much respect.
And he said, boy, I can't believe, the knowledge you guys have about these cars. And I said, or that we're completely full of crap.
Just completely full of it.
So it was cool to hear. And especially he's had a whole bunch of cars over his lifetime and is deep into this stuff. So it's always cool to work on that car, and good to see him and his wife Karen, and they're always out doing stuff with it. So
nice. So real cool.
Yeah.
Real cool. That's a beautiful GTO, man.
It is. It's great color.
Oh yeah. It is.
Good looking car. Drives really nice.
Yeah.
And everything works on it now, so that's good. Looking forward to rowing the gears manually.
Oh, that TKO is going to transform that car.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I can't wait to see more of that. We need a ride in that one.
Yeah, well, you have to come down.
Yeah. Well, that's never been a problem for me wanting to come down.
I guess that's possibly the same color as yours, or pretty close.
It's close. I mean, it's called Signet Gold. I think in 70, was it Aztec Gold or something like that? But it's the same. I think it's really, really close.
Yeah, it looks totally different on the 7
Coronado Gold or something like that.
Yeah, I think on the smaller car without the vinyl, it looks totally different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure our other listener, Frank Simkowski, will correct me on my gold on my color.
That's right.
Knowledge.
Another GTO fan right there. My gosh.
Yeah, that's right. It's a shout out episode of V8 Radio.
It is. So, yeah, we encourage people to subscribe on iTunes or whatnot, because you never know when you might come up.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, right now. So, what else is happening right now? We're still in the throes of the wintertime, which blows.
It does. It's blowing snow all over today.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I haven't gotten to do anything except just gawk at cars on websites and Facebook pages and your stuff that you're throwing out there. And Trevor will text me some cool GTO pictures once in a while. Hey, we got 4 in the shop today. Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm like, great. That's great, Trev.
Did he do that?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, because
son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, the other day it was a really neat photo opportunity, and we'll throw this out on the Instagram and on Facebook. But we had the '67 that we're restoring with the Tech fuel injected 400, and in the background on a stand was the 66 389 tri-power engine that's going into another 66 we've got in the shop right now. And then Mo's car was in the background with his 7400, and you could see all the different Pontiac V8s with, I think we did the math. It was 1,200 cubes and 14 barrels worth of
nice
combination carburation and fuel injection,
Very nice.
Yeah. And then behind that was a 79 Trans Am that has one of them LS motors in it now, but don't tell anybody. Don't tell your Pontiac friends. Tell everybody else.
No, I'm not telling them nothing. I remember, one time I was out there, it was F-body heaven in your shop. I mean, it was Camaro Central there. I swear, you guys probably have it down to 15 minutes to get the whole front end off of one of these F-bodies. With as many as you've done out there. It
depends on what they need, of course, but
right.
They come in waves for sure. And I think people see that we're working on something and they go, oh, hey, I got one of those. And next thing you know, we got it. So recently it's been second gen F-body craziness with, we had 4 70 through 72 Camaros plus a 77 and the 79 Trans Am all at once. I mean,
wow.
It was crazy. So Pontiac.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then right now a bunch of GTOs, and then we just went through we've got a 65 Mustang, a 67 Mustang. We're just sending home another 67.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, man.
So there's a lot going on. We got some that are leaving and some that are coming in. We finally landed on a strategy for that 1961 International Metro truck that we were talking about before. Yeah.
Right.
So that one, it's basically an old bread wagon, old delivery truck, and the customer lives in Chicago and he's got a pizza business up there, and he wants to use it as a catering delivery truck. So it's not going to be like a daily,
right,
delivery all the time, but for big orders and cool stuff, he's going to use the Metro. And the Metro is International's version of like the Divco milk truck that everybody knows and loves.
Right.
A little, not quite as common though. I don't know production numbers, but it seems like the Divcos are a little more popular. So it's neat to have kind of a weirdo that's even a weirdo version of the weirdos.
Yeah.
A
weirdo of a weirdo.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
And we've been kicking around what to do with this thing because he wanted it to be more reliable and easier to drive because everything is manual steering, manual brakes, and the steering wheel is 12 feet in diameter and you can't really see out of the thing very well. Manual brakes, manual shift. So the V8 team did some math. Rod and Trevor and Tyler and the guys in the mechanic shop scratched their heads and looked at it and determined that the wheelbase is I think 1.5 inches off from a late model Chevrolet Tahoe.
Oh, yeah.
So we ended up obtaining a 2003 Chevy Tahoe that had a little damage in the door, but the whole chassis is perfect. And it's a 131,000 mile two-wheel drive 5.3 liter Tahoe. So we're going to pop the body off the Metro, move the chassis out, drop it on the Tahoe.
Nice. Oh, that'll be great.
It should be pretty cool, yeah. And we scoured the universe looking for the right Tahoe because the customer's got a budget window that this thing, we got to kind of fit it in. Sure. So we couldn't spend, we couldn't buy a 2018 Tahoe for $40,000,
Right.
And we were a little concerned with getting a wrecked one out of a junkyard because we kind of wanted to be able to drive the thing to see what the chassis needed, if it transmission shifted right and all that stuff.
Right.
Because he doesn't necessarily want this to be a showpiece underneath. It's got to be functional.
Right.
So it's not something that we're going to disassemble the chassis and paint everything and blast it all. It's just let's get a good one and get it rolling down the road. So
Gotcha.
What we ended up finding is this I think it's an 03. It's late 02, early 03, and the guy selling it was driving it up until the other day, even after the little wreck in the door. and had parted out the transmission, but the rest of it was complete. So we got the thing for a song. I think a couple grand plus delivery, and it wasn't very far. I had video of it running. He took a video of it running and showed me the gauges, so I know pressures are good and all that jazz. And,
that's nice.
And one of our concerns was the transmission, because those things eventually, the engines are pretty bulletproof, but depending on how it was driven, you don't know how happy the trans is.
Yeah, and those are typically with 4L60s behind those, right?
Correct, yeah. And so this one, the guy had already parted the transmission, so he knocked the price down a little bit. And what we're going to do is get a rebuilt, just a stock rebuilt 4L60, and then install it in the Tahoe and drive it around, make sure everything else works, and then we'll pull the body and flip it over. So
nice. Now, being the wheelbase is off, what do you say, 1.5 inches? Is that going to affect your wheel openings?
Just a tad. The interesting thing is that the front wheel opening is on the Metro is pretty circular, so the wheel's got to fit in that and look right. The rear wheel opening is kind of teardrop shape, so if the wheel is in a slightly different place than it was, we can kind of split the difference front and back, and you'll never know.
Okay,
it's close enough. So
yeah. Oh, that's serendipity.
That's
perfect.
It should be pretty cool. Yeah, and part of the problem or the challenge was there's a few other people in the world that are doing these conversions, but they're doing them like in their home shop or after hours or something, and they're not logging time, and they're kind of hacking stuff together where it's like, the guy got this 350,000 mile totaled Tahoe, and he's kind of cutting stuff and hacking things together and using a bunch of zip ties and
oh boy,
and look, it's running, and it only took me however long. So those projects are great, but they can mislead people to think of how long it actually took. And in our case, we're a professional shop, and we've got people that are working 8 to 5, and it's their job, so the timing is different. And we wanted to make sure that when we were talking to the customer that we thought we could do it for what he was, willing to invest in this thing. And the key to it was getting the right donor. Get a good donor, it takes out,
It takes a lot of variables out of the equation.
Correct. So
yeah,
I know we got to replace a tie rod end and a transmission. I think that's it. And
that's a winner.
Yeah, so we'll reuse the stock computer on this one. We're actually going to use the stock gauges and put them in the Metro dash, and that means we don't have to buy a lot of stuff. We're going to try and use as much as we possibly can.
Sure.
And then down the road, if he wants to change the look of that, that's something he can we can do later.
Yeah, but the goal is to get it functioning.
Yep.
Looking half decent and being reliable.
Yep.
And
but it's pretty neat because the Tahoe has basically a flat frame going back, which means we won't have to cut up the floor of the Metro. The only thing we really got to do is route the fuel filler neck. It's on the opposite side, so not that big of a deal.
Not that big a deal for you guys.
Well, yeah, no, the team at our shop they can do that. That's for sure. And then one of the other concerns was because he's going to use this thing, he wanted AC in it. And one of the guys that's out there in the world doing these conversions, he's taking AC units from like airport shuttles that are mounted up high in the back.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been on like a rental car bus kind of thing,
Yeah, I got you.
And this dude's like, yeah, I can put one of those in for a few $100. Well, it turns out he's got a junkyard that has a bunch of these commercial vehicles, and he himself goes and unscrews them and takes all the junk out and installs it. And when we looked at doing that, AC parts have to be reliable. So, we got to make sure we got a good compressor and good hoses and O-rings and all that jazz. So it started to become a little bit of a concern because, this guy says, oh, I could do these for a few $100, but it's a really, rushed install on an unknown thing, and we can't have failures on this. So the bigger question became, well, when it comes to the AC, what's the goal? And it's not to make the whole truck ice cold in there in the summertime, because he's transporting pizzas and hot food. So we kind of reframed all that and said, well, what you really want to do is just keep the driver comfortable.
Right.
And this is really only going to be driven by one person. It's not going to have passengers. So we're going with a Vintage Air Mark IV, like an underdash unit.
Okay.
That's just going to be aimed right at the driver. And it's all
That's
new.
perfect.
Yeah, it's all new. And it's completely reliable, and we want to take stuff out of the junkyard and hope that it doesn't, leak and all the rest. And
what was the main holdup or the deal breaker with using the AC from the Tahoe?
Well, that would probably require taking the whole dash out of the Tahoe.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of time.
Correct.
That you don't necessarily need to spend.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, because the Metro is very similar to a van where it's got a doghouse for the engine cover.
Right.
And then the dashboard doesn't really have anything to it. So to reconfigure all that stuff. And again, the Tahoe, I'm not real worried about the engine and the mechanical components, but it is, 15, 17, 18 years old. So that would mean we probably have to put new valves and new stuff in that AC unit, and there drives the price up again. So,
okay.
Part of what we do when we restore these cars or build, resto mods or whatever we're going to do is a lot of this cost benefit, what's the smartest way to do it in a time frame, and at what step of the project do you do certain things so that you don't undo things and go backwards.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure our good friend Rick Love at Vintage Air would be more than happy to accommodate you with the right setup.
Yeah, well, it's going to be straight out of the catalog. It's just nothing custom. That's the cool thing, and it should
That's
pull right in.
perfect.
Yeah,
that sounds nice and easy.
Yes.
So, I say that standing back here 100 miles away.
Yeah,
Looks
right.
easy. Boom.
Keep those
Just
pictures
slap
coming.
it in there.
Yeah, but that's kind of the mission. So it'll be cool. So we're going to get started on that this week. So we're excited.
Yeah, that's going to scoop pretty nicely too.
It should. And the weight, the Metro's, I think it's similar in weight than what the Tahoe was. It's a two-wheel drive Tahoe, so that the chassis is a little bit lighter than what the four-wheel drive version was. But again, that was done for complexity. We didn't need a four-wheel drive system in that.
Right.
And we're doing the math, and how much does a couple hundred pizzas weigh?
I'm sure it could handle it.
Yeah. We're not dumping concrete in this thing, so.
Right. I mean, plus the back of that Metro is just an open shell. I mean, there's no interior in there to weigh it down or anything like that. It's just a sheet metal box, pretty much, right?
It is, but interestingly, it's kind of a double shell. So
really?
When you're inside, the wall that you tap on is not the outer skin.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So it's a little heavier than we thought, but it's not like a semi, it's not like a straight truck or something. So,
right.
So we might end up doing a little bit of suspension mods to the Tahoe if we need to, a bigger sway bar and maybe a shock or something, but we'll see. Gonna try to do it exactly as it is and tune from there.
Cool.
Yeah, right on.
Right on.
One of the certainly kind of an unusual project for us, and there's another one that we've been working on, and I think you've seen pictures of it, the 1939 LaSalle ambulance.
Yes.
And that's another one. I mean, it was a combination vehicle, so it was a hearse/ambulance. And it was commissioned originally in little old Redbud, Illinois, where our shop is.
That's awesome,
Way
man.
back then, yeah, we have a sticker in the window that says Redbud 1950 that we were able to preserve.
Way.
Yeah. And the customer brought us this thing looking for a repaint, and because it was yellow with maroon fenders, and he wanted it to be more like an ambulance. So red, big white walls.
Sure.
And he wanted us to add signal lights on the roof in the style that they were, kind of a French-in bullet light. And we all knew going into this project that, this was basically a hand-built, coach-built giant vehicle. So, the standards were a little loose as far as how things went together.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the back half of this thing is hand-formed steel skinned over a wood frame.
Really?
Yeah, which is how a lot of those things, were done back then. But what we couldn't tell until we took it all apart was what kind of repair the woodwork needed. And then if there was rusty metal over that because of the wood.
Right.
So the good thing is that it wasn't real bad. We did put a bunch of hours into doing carpentry and recreating a lot of that wood. The trick was you can't unskin the vehicle. And then, because the way they built the wood frame and then they wrapped all the steel around it.
Oh, wow. Oh, geez.
So we had to kind of unbuild a ship in a bottle, if you will, to get the wood out and in sections and pin things and build laminates and drill dowels and glue it and clamp it and all that stuff. But
wow.
But we used an outsource for some of it, and we have a guy, his name is Brad, on staff who can do all that and has done just a tremendous job of basically reframing a lot of the interior of this thing.
All right. Shout out to Brad.
Yeah, and and that one is turning a corner right now and going from the woodwork and the metalwork phase into bodywork, and we'll start again, moving forward, we had many conversations with the owner in the beginning saying, just so we're all clear here, none of us really know what's inside this. And he was,
don't blame us when nothing but termites come out.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't that bad. But he was he's been super great to work with. He understands how these things can go, and he loves seeing the photographs on the website and following along. And he's just really impressed with the craftsmanship. We all are of what the team is doing. And it's cool. He doesn't live very far away, so he stops in every once in a while and checks it out. And
cool.
Yeah, it's just there was a little bit of a detour because of the unforeseen wood and metal work, which as unfortunately, a lot of these projects have that.
And that's the biz, right? I mean, you're going to run into weird things, so you got to improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Yes, and on two fronts, though. The one front is the physical labor. The other front is preparing a customer ahead of time, that this could happen, and how do you feel if it could, if that's a possibility. So we were able to contain those costs as best we could, and to his approval and liking, and move on. So it's great. So that's pressing forward now, which is cool.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. And that's going to be, like I said, it's going to be bright red, and it's going to be kind of a parade vehicle. And because it was a hearse ambulance combination vehicle, it's going to look more like an ambulance. But we're all joking. Apparently, our guys claim it's haunted, and it's been named. They named it Josephine for some reason. I don't know who Josephine was, but when we told the owner,
a good haunted name.
Yeah, it kind of does. Like a flapper era.
Right.
1939 name. And we told the customer that one of our guys thinks this thing's haunted, and he's like, "Oh yeah, who knows how many people died in that thing? I mean, you're probably
no
right."
doubt, right?
Then I was like, "Wait a minute."
Well, that does double duty. I mean, if the guy expires on the way to the hospital, boom, you got your hearse.
Exactly. You just flip the sign in the window.
Sign in the window.
Right. And then you're off. So it's good that everybody's got a sense of humor about this thing, but at the same time, we're all looking at it like, well, it's a little weird.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But it'll be cool. It's got the original LaSalle flathead in it and everything, and it's
no doubt.
It's
wow.
6-volt electrics, and we're trying to figure out if we're going to change that or not, and vintage Mars light on the front and everything. So it's cool.
That is cool, man. Oh, I'm digging that at all like crazy. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, in my shop, I got a 67 GTO that we've been working on for about the last 5 years. But
yeah. And I know
the owner's a real jag-off, and he won't let me do anything on it.
Well, I also am aware that you're waiting on me on a few parts now, of course, because I'm gonna.
Yeah, this is all on you now, buddy.
I know.
I could have been done.
You could have been out plowing the streets with that thing right now.
That's right. Damn it.
But I'm getting you some ARP stuff to get that motor screwed back together. And the good thing right now is that the economy is real strong and people are working on a lot of stuff. The bad thing is that that also means there's a lot of parts on back order, and we're waiting for things. And
right. We talked about this before. Like a lot of your big box stores, your Summits and the like, tend to get their orders placed first, and then your not as high volume retailers or dealers will go second, and so on.
Correct. And then there's some stuff that's just everywhere. Nobody's got it.
I got you.
Which from what our friends at ARP have told me, I think right now you're glad that does not have a Power Stroke diesel in it. Because
really?
Because their diesel head bolts, they're way behind on production, which is a great problem, But every one they can kick out is accounted for. So,
holy cow!
Yeah, but it's all good.
I mean, it's good for ARP, but bad for Ford, I think.
Well, these are not necessarily repair pieces. These are guys that are building pulling trucks and
I got you.
The guys that are drag racing those things and. The diesel world is high performance. I mean, these people are building the heck out of these things.
Yeah.
And
rolling coal.
That's it. And it's unbelievable. An ARP stud in some cases will take 100 psi. In a turbo diesel application, whereas your factory Ford stuff, that's those cylinder heads would land in the next county at that point.
Yeah. Those torque to yield bolts will yield.
Right. Yes, yield all the way through the air. So
right, yield out to the next county.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Well, that's cool, man. Oh, yeah. I actually saw Randy the other day. He's like, "Hey, did you get your bolts yet?" I'm like, "No, not yet, not yet."
No, but
we're working on it.
I will follow up again tomorrow,
but
we'll make sure we get it.
Yeah, he's super patient though. He's cool. He's not up my caboose about it, so that's good.
That is good. Well, and at least at the same time, it's just an engine. It's not like you got the whole car over there,
exactly,
scattered all over his garage.
Yeah, not like our other buddy Joe, who's got his Mustang in his place, and he's been working on that since the fall. So
yeah,
he's making good progress with that. Though he's got a lot of the sheet metal replaced, and I know he was talking with you about it at PRI a little bit. I think he's got to finish up the torque boxes, and he's almost done with all the metal work on that thing.
Good for him. That's great.
Yeah.
It's great progress.
Yeah, he does good work. He's a good guy to know.
Well, a lot of that is just being tenacious and sticking with it.
Yeah. It's a good point.
Putting the hammer down and not getting scared off by some of that stuff. The problem with doing a lot of the sheet metal repair is that when you're doing a whole bunch of panels that are not original, every one's got its own little nuance. And they all have to fit together somehow. So
they all got their own little personality.
Yeah,
and you got to figure out what it is and correct it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, but that's all part of the game. Yeah.
Right on.
So
what else we got going on?
We're right at that part of the year here in the Midwest where a lot of people aren't really thinking about, they're not doing much with their cars because it's so cold out. And then the first nice day, they're all out on the road, and we get a lot of people coming by looking for stuff. And, you mentioned Rick Love before from Vintage Air. I had talked to him a while ago saying, hey, do you guys sell a lot of AC systems for these cars in the wintertime? Because if it's me, if my car's down for the winter, that's a great time to tear it apart and do an AC upgrade or do suspension rebuild or whatever. And he goes, when we get the calls on the first 90-degree day.
People are predictable.
That's when everybody wants it. Yeah. So you can tell, in certain parts of the country as things warm up, we start getting we get calls from people that are watching either videos or have cars that they want help with. A couple of neat potential projects on the horizon. A woman and a man who are I haven't met them yet, but they're getting up in the years a little bit, and they've been having a 57 Thunderbird restored for a long time, and I think the person doing the restoration has either retired or gotten out of it. And
oh no,
they're like, we need this thing finished. We need to take it somewhere and get it done. So we've been talking to them about doing that.
Cool.
Yeah, and we did that Coyote-powered T-Bird a few years ago, and this one I think is a 312 car. It wouldn't be the Coyote, but we're familiar with how those things work, so be a little bit different. And along those lines of a 50s Ford, we talked to a guy the other day about doing a 55 Ford F1. I think 55 is first year for the F100, so it's an F100, but he wants the Coyote swap, and
really
the cool. He's got I think he's got a Fat Man chassis and the whole thing. So that'll be a neat little hot rod pickup truck if we land on a strategy for that one. So it's cool. That's the thing in this business. There's you never know who's going to call tomorrow and what kind of whatever the thing is, and the team kind of wraps their mind around whatever that project was, and like your trivia question with the Chrysler 300 that was completely off my radar yesterday. Somebody could call with something tomorrow and be like, "Hey, I found this '58 Mercury wagon. Now let's do it," and we'll all be like, "Yeah," So
yeah, man.
That part's cool.
Yeah, that's got to be exciting when something off the wall comes through there. Hey, I want to do XYZ to PDQ car, and it gets everyone excited. It's like, yes, because I'm sure, they all love their jobs, but I'm sure there can be a certain level of monotony when maybe you're doing big blocks all the time, or you're doing Chevelles all the time, or you're doing GTOs all the time, or F bodies. And well, I'm sure when that Dodge Murata came in, that probably raised a few eyebrows to restore that. I'm sure that was a blank slate with hardly any know-how. How are we going to do this? No one's done a Murata before. What are we in for?
Yeah, it was. You're right. It's interesting. Everybody wants to do something a little bit different, which is cool. But I will say that even though when we had the 4 or 6 different second generation F bodies, every one of those cars is different, and the tasks on them are all different. So
yeah, that's true.
I think
maybe monotony was the wrong word.
Well, I think the only part of the team that I get concerned with about the monotony is the body shop, because the metal guys do their work. They fit all the panels up and everything and get them all straight, and then the car goes to the body shop, and then Tim, our lead body man at this point, is the guy who gets the car and starts sanding.
And sanding.
Correct.
And sanding.
But the satisfaction comes in the details. And I was talking to him the other day, as a matter of fact, him and Brad, who I mentioned before, and our metal. We got a metal guy who also does body work. His name is Brett. Tim had the trunk lid open on that 73 Duster 340 that we're working on. Mm-hmm. And this car, it was just getting ready to go to the sprayable polyester stage. So the body filler was about finished. And he says, "Can I have you look at something?" And I said, "Sure." And today, these days, there are times when I don't get to spend very much time in the shop because I've got so many other things going on with the technology side of the company and whatever. But I was kind of walking through the shop, and he said, "I need you to take a look at this." And what he had found is that we had put aftermarket quarter panels on that Duster, and where the quarter wraps over into the trunk lid jamb, the trunk jamb, if you will.
Yeah.
The passenger side, the way the panel was trimmed as it was manufactured was, I don't know, quarter of an inch different from the passenger side. And
geez.
It wasn't like the gap was a quarter inch different, or it was literally if you open the trunk and run your thumb down the inside edge of the quarter panel,
okay,
where one layer of steel overlapped another layer, it has a little bit of a seam there. And it's not on a body line, it's not anything obvious or visible, but it was just slightly different shape than the other side.
Huh.
And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, wow. I mean, that was points for being able to eagle eye something that was,
that no one will probably see.
Correct. Functionally insignificant, because it works just fine. But it was a detail thing. And he's the guy sanding this stuff all the time, so he noticed it, and judging the outcome of the car and what the customer expectations are and everything, we determined that, no, we don't need to cut this apart and metalwork
and
to
redo it.
Right, because there's a good possibility that just through assembly, the original car didn't match 100% perfect left to right.
Sure.
And again, it's going to be under weather strip and under the, so it's not an obvious thing. But that tells you that Tim, although his position requires a lot of repetition, it's not one where he's asleep at the sanding block.
I gotcha. Well, that's good.
Oh, it's great.
That's what you want from your body guy.
Oh yeah. And they were, so that car has since gone through the polyester stage, and they're kind of refining the lines now, and that duster is going to be just insane how nice it's going to be.
Now, is the guy who does the sanding, is he the same guy that does the painting?
No.
All right.
But interestingly, this past week, the guy who does the painting was doing a little bit of the sanding.
Is that right?
Well, we like a little overlap, as the car leaves one department and goes into the next. We want whoever's on the receiving end, they need to be thoroughly ready to receive that car, meaning it has to be to their liking. And
also you want the guy receiving the car to have an appreciation for the guy who just did that work before him as well, so he understands what he's going through when he receives that car.
Yeah, and the good thing is there's definitely that appreciation, because most of the people in our shop have had multiple positions. The painter has done body work and the body guy has painted before too, so they understand each other's jobs. But if you envision a relay runner, handing off the baton from one to the next, you want to make sure that the painter understands the car before it leaves the body shop side, because that's still the opportunity to say, hey, you know what, I'm looking at this and I see a little thing over here I want you to address, or whatever.
I gotcha.
So they do an inspection between one step to the next.
Between handoffs.
Yeah. And that makes all the difference, because I've seen it in the past where people don't pay attention to that, and the metal shop will weld up some stuff and just kick it down the road to the next guy, and then the body shop has to make a correction or refit something or improve something, and then they might not care, so they'll kick it off to the painter, and then the painter's got to deal with it somehow. But in our case, everybody works hand in hand as the car goes through those steps, so that when the painter gets it, he's ready, and it's what
so he knows what he's going to be getting.
Oh yeah, and they work together on that, so that's cool.
Yeah, so there should be no surprises.
Right, and we actually have printed checklists where before the car leaves the metal shop, it goes into body, and before it leaves body and goes to paint, we have the technicians themselves follow the checklist and make sure all the details are handled. But then they'll get Kelly, who runs the shop, or myself, and say, okay, it's time for you guys to sign off on this. And that way, I like that, because it relieves them the responsibility if something goes forward And if there's an issue down the line, we can go back and say, well, was this approved? And if one of our guys says, yeah, you signed off on it, then I say, great, it's not your problem. I'll take care of it. It lets them release the responsibility and not have to worry about stuff. Now, the great thing there too, though, because we don't want things to happen down the line, if you look at the checklist and go, hey, this one wasn't signed off on, let's get somebody to check off on it. And it's not that we're necessarily micromanaging them or looking over their shoulder. It's kind of, they get to present the car. They get to say, okay, I've been through it. I got everything checked. Just need you to give it a final, once over. And if there's anything you want us to do, we'll do it. If not, move it on, and that's noted as opposed to...
It's very reasonable.
Yeah, we've learned that that's the best way to go. Because the opposite is, say, for example, a car got painted in pieces, and when it goes to reassemble it, if something doesn't fit quite right, who's responsible? It's like it shouldn't have been painted, which means it should have been test fitted, which means if it wasn't test fitted, who didn't do something along the line.
Right. Everyone puts their finger on the nose, says, not it, not it, not my problem, not it.
Yeah, right. And anything can be fixed, but we hope get it beforehand, so that we have very minimal late in the game repairs, Things happen no matter what, but it's very minimal.
Right.
And by putting these checklists and checks and balances along the way, it really helped to reduce that stuff. So.
Well, very good.
And that was all Kelly's doing. It was her idea to come up with those. And
I believe that.
Yes, she's very thorough.
Wholeheartedly. Ponytail power.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she wants, she's running that show, so she wants things running smooth and correctly and doesn't want any snowballs.
No. And the customers appreciate that too. They see these lists and they're like, wow, you guys...
Yeah.
You're on it and you care, and that matters.
Yeah,
so.
At the end of the day, you put out a superior product, so it's worth it, worth everything.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And the team likes it too, because again, it lets them do their thing. It's a nice reminder of what they're supposed to do. They know what's expected of them, and then they can say, nope, I did it, man. You saw, let's go. So it's cool.
So back off, man. I did it right.
Sure, there are times they want to tell me that.
Back off, Mr. Albatross Manager. Get out of here.
That's right.
Mr. Seagull.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
I hope they get a good laugh out of that.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Always at my expense, which is just fine.
Well, that's how it works.
You're just trying to score points over there is what you're doing.
That's right, man.
Wow. Well, hey, it looks like this one has gone by pretty fast, my friend.
Yeah, it has. It really has. Good stuff.
It's all the show prep that we did.
Well, we're pros.
I just went right down the script. You talk about that checklist.
Yeah.
I skipped the line on page 2. I don't know if you caught that.
Check. Got it all. It's all good.
Yeah. All right. So let's try this trivia question thing because I can feel the eyes on the back of my head of all of our listeners who are saying, "What is it? Darn it!"
God dang it. All right. I asked you what year Chrysler first stopped using the letter designator on their 300 series.
Right.
And you, Kevin, said 1955. Had no letter. And Kevin, you are absolutely right.
Nice. Really?
The 1955, yeah. It was actually called the C300, but that was not a letter car because the 56 was the 300B.
Right.
I would have accepted that answer, or I would have accepted 1966, because 65 was the 300L, and 66 had no letter designator.
Yeah.
So either one of those answers the judges would have accepted, but you picked the one I was hoping you would pick, 1955. So congratulations.
Wow. I'm a little bit impressed with myself that I got that lucky.
Nicely done. Yeah. Nicely done.
Yeah. Right on. Cool.
Now I get to be a 3-time loser on this next question.
I'll give you the chance to be a 4-time if you want to take a stab at the color.
Oh, shiza.
All right, so this question was, when did the last U.S. sale-bound Pontiac roll off the assembly line?
Mm-hmm.
And you said because they basically shut the plant down in 2009 or ended the brand in 2009, that your guess was a January 2009 Pontiac Solstice.
Yeah.
Of unknown color.
Of unknown color.
And the truth is that the Pontiac brand reached the end of the era on a Wednesday. I could have given you a 5 chance.
God, dang it.
It was in January of 2010.
God! Son of a biscuit.
Yeah. They tried to wrap it up in December, and a few, I guess, they made 100 G6s in January. So the car was a G6.
It was a G6. Gosh darn it.
And not a Solstice. And it was white.
But it was a Pontiac.
It sure was. So you're off just a bit. The production went through the rest of 2010, satisfying, interestingly, a car called the G3 Wave, which was a...
Never heard of it.
No, I didn't either. But that was a Canadian Pontiac that was actually built in Mexico. So it skipped right over the U.S. and went north. And they made those...
Right over the wall.
Yeah, right. That's it. And that was in 2010. So yeah, unfortunately.
Well, I didn't have high hopes for that one, but I got the month right, but still, it's just a year off.
Right. That's a year among friends.
Yeah, pish posh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But that's
that was fun anyway.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah, good, interesting question.
A little different. Still,
a little bit.
It's still Pontiac, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm coming double barrel with Buick next time.
Yeah, nice. I'll have to read up on my books.
That's right.
All right. Well, this was a good one, and we've got. Obviously, there's all kinds of stuff going on, so I'm sure our next episode will be another jam-packed with some unbelievably overselling adjective. I don't know if it'll be quite kaleidoscopic.
Few things are.
Yeah, hopefully it's not, colonoscopic.
Oh, nice. Well played. Points.
But you'll have to listen to find out. And if you subscribe on iTunes, that'd be cool, because then you wouldn't miss that next episode. And the other fun thing is when people listen to our show on iTunes, it moves us up that front page of automotive enthusiast podcasts. And there's 3 columns on the page. We've been kind of hovering in the middle of the 3rd column. We've been touching the 2nd column here and there, but a little more popularity, and maybe we'll climb the ladder. So if you like the show, subscribe on iTunes and help give us a little push there. But you can also listen on Google Play and on Stitcher and on the TuneIn Radio app, of course, on our website at v8radio.com, and find us on the Facebook page at V8 Radio. All kinds of ways to stagger across our nonsense, so we invite you to do so. All right, man. Well, this was fun.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
And as always, I'm Kevin Oeste from Mike Clarke. Hope you keep the shiny side up, and we will chat with you next time on V8 Radio.